Jackie, and welcome to Hearth and Apron. I have an Outlander special for you today with 3 fun meal ideas so that when you're watching this Sunday's episode, you can take it a little bit above and beyond. If you don't know what Outlander is, it is a show on Starz that is based off the novels by Dianna Gabaldon. I believe she has 8 books out so far, with another coming out very soon. Let's kick this off with what I am calling Rosamund's Pulled Pork Barbecue. In Chapter 13 of The Fiery Cross, which is also what inspired Season 5 of Outlander, Jamie and Claire were summoned at the gathering to solve a quarrel by Rosamund Lindsay and Ronnie Sinclair. When they get there, they find out that Rosamund Lindsay is brandishing an axe, and that Ronnie Sinclair is convinced that Rosamund was trying to kill everyone by adding her special sauce to the roasting pork, insisting the tomatoes inside were poisonous and that the sauce looked like blood. Now, while in the book, Rosamund is cooking all types of pork, I decided to go with the pulled pork, and I used a pork loin for this recipe. I've used many other cuts, but I went with the loin this time because I was wanting something a little bit leaner. To start making our sauce, we're going to make 1 cup of chicken broth. I'm using Better Than Bouillon, so I need to get this stirred up. And then we are going to add half a cup of barbecue sauce and just a dash of apple cider vinegar. We are also going to take 3 cloves of garlic, and we're not going to worry about cutting them up, but we are going to take the skins off. And then we are going to take a small shallot and just kind of cut it into little 1-inch, half-inch chunks. It doesn't really matter on the size. And we're going to add this to the Instapot as well as our sauce when we put our pork in. I am cutting my pork up into 1-inch pieces because I feel that it helps to make my pork cook a little bit faster, and it also makes it a lot easier for when I go through and I'm getting ready to shred it all up at the end. So right now I'm making my dry rub mix. This is way more than you are going to need for this recipe, but I only know how to make it in this size. So what we're going to do is start out by using 1½ teaspoons of salt, half a teaspoon of ground pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne, a dash or 1/8 of a teaspoon of mustard powder. You'll see that I actually just throw whatever I have left in my jar because I had basically nothing, unfortunately, when I made this. I also add 1/4 teaspoon paprika, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And I mix this all up, and then I use this to sprinkle on top of my pork. You can use a store-bought rub or make your own if you have a recipe that you prefer better. This just happens to be the recipe that I use, and I thought I'd share it with you. I basically sprinkle this all over the meat. I kind of mix it around a little bit and just sprinkle a little bit more until I feel like there's enough. Once my pork is lightly seasoned, I go ahead and I add it to my pot with my sauce that I've already added. Then I'm going to set my Instapot on pressure cooker for 44 minutes, and I'm going to give it a 10-minute natural release. While that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and get my sides ready. I'm going to be making corn on the cob and baked potatoes to go with my recipe today. I just figured they kind of kept along with the theme. Now, you can cook this any way that you want. I'm going to go ahead and put them on the barbecue, and this is what I do. I put them in aluminum foil, and then I put either the corn or the potatoes down onto it, and I start to sprinkle it with a little bit of garlic salt. I prefer Lowry's, and some pepper, and then just a little bit of cayenne because I like things with a little bit of a kick. And then I'm going to close them on up, throw them on the barbecue for about 20 to 30 minutes, and voila, my sides are done. So instead of pulling out my pork and chopping it up or shredding it by hand, I actually use my potato masher to go ahead and just mash up the meat, and you know what? I don't have to shred it any other way. It takes care of it entirely. As you can see, by the time I'm done, it is completely ready to go. I really hoped you liked my version of Rosamund's Pulled Pork Barbecue. If you do try it, please make sure to put some pictures on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to tag me. I am there as Hearth and Apron at both Facebook and Instagram. Again, I'm going to use my Instapot because why not? It makes the world just so much easier. I am going to boil 6 eggs here, and I guess I'm actually steaming them and not boiling them. You add 1 cup of water to the bottom, and as I understand, you don't want that water to touch the eggs or it can cause them to wiggle around and then you might have cracking. I put my eggs on to boil for 5 minutes and found that they were perfect.
Now I am going to do an automatic release. I'm not going to do the natural release on the eggs because I don't want them to overcook. And what I'm actually going to do as well is make a nice little ice bath, so as all of those eggs are ready to go, they can just go straight into the ice water so that we don't have any more overcooking. I am going to fry these Scotch eggs inside of vegetable oil in my mini fryer. You can also fry these in a pan, and they can also be baked as well. I read many suggestions online that said that I should flatten my sausage in between two pieces of parchment paper so that it rolled on a little easier. I actually found that it got stuck to my parchment paper, but it did make it a lot more even in my coating of meat. I am then going to take my eggs that I have and I'm going to dip them in a flour mix that I have, and I'm going to do that before I put the sausage on so that it helps to keep that sausage to stick to the egg instead of sliding right off. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to do an egg wash, and then I'm going to go back into another bowl with breadcrumbs, seasonings, and panko crumbs, and then I'm going to go back to the egg wash, back to the breadcrumbs, and then that's when they're going to make their way into the fryer. Now, I chose to do Scotch eggs tonight, but I do not think that this is something that you would actually find on Outlander. It's kind of unclear as to where the exact origins of Scotch eggs came from, but I like them a lot, and so I decided to add them to tonight's recipe. Once I have both of my eggs coated, I'm going to go ahead and put them into the oil for 4 to 5 minutes, and then they are done. I am serving these Scotch eggs with what I'm calling Fraser Strawberries and Scottish Shortbread. Now, the reason that I'm calling this my Outlander meal tonight is because in book 5, there is a point that Claire and Jamie are trying to decide if they want to go back to Scotland or if they want to stay in America. And when they're looking at the land that Governor Tryon has offered to them, Jamie sees a whole bunch of strawberries growing, and he takes this as a sign because the clan of Fraser was their symbol and emblem is a strawberry. So I thought they'd be a perfect addition to tonight's meal.
I hope that you really enjoyed today's content and that you hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe because I have new Outlander meals coming for you every week throughout season 5. Also, don't forget to check out some of my other content where I have clean and declutters and some spring cleaning episodes coming up to help give you all the motivation you need so that you go into your summer clean, organized, and refreshed. Either way, I hope that you enjoy Sunday's episode. I know that I will. Slàinte mhath.